An appetizer comes from the famous 21 Club in Manhattan. Erik Blauberg cooks red mullet, braised in herb-infused oil, served with kaffir-flavored nage and caviar. Then Michael Jordan prepares the main course from Las Vegas. It's seared king salmon, served on wilted greens with Provençal relish and bell pepper vinaigrette. John Besh presents dessert from Louisiana, the Italian classic panna cotta, with fresh fruit flavored with jasmine tea syrup and garnished with lavender tweel cookies. The 21 Club in New York has a colorful history, dating from Prohibition, when presumably it was one of the city's swankiest speakeasies. Erik Blauberg is the executive chef now and brings a long list of credits, including work with Roger Verger and Paul Bocuse. His dish is red mullet and caviar.
Here I have some olive oil. We're going to add our olive oil right into our pot like so. Now next up, I have some opal basil, a little bit of green basil, some fresh rosemary, I have some lemon thyme, and I also have a little bit of marjoram. I have some peppercorns. I'm going to add those right into our oil like so. I have some sea salt. And that's what our braising liquid should look like. Now, what we're going to do with this mullet, first of all, we're going to fillet it. We're going to make sure that it's cleaned, it's scaled, this is already scaled, and basically you just want to rub the fish like so and remove all the scales, and then run your knife down the fish, like so. And we're going to turn it over onto the other side, and we're going to cut right in back of the head like so, just a little bit, and we're going to run the knife right down the bone. Now, we want to be careful not to cut through the fish entirely, because what we want to do is we want to try to keep this intact. So we're just going to cut that right out of there like so. And this is what we have, basically. Now what I have here is a leek tie. Now what the leek tie is basically a leek that I place in boiling water with a little bit of salt, blanch it off for about 2 minutes, and I cut them into strips like so. Now what I'm going to do with this fillet is I'm going to kind of roll this like so, and then bring up the other side of the fillet like that. Now we're going to take that leek tie and we're going to wrap it right around the fish like so, and then we're going to tie it in a little knot. I'm going to remove all the excess. So we're going to season it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I'm going to take that, I'm going to place it right into our oil. And here I have one that I've already done as well. We're going to place that right into the oil. Just add a little bit more oil to that. You want to make sure that the fish is covered in oil. And there we go. Now we're going to place it in a 350-degree oven
for 4 minutes.
Now next up we have a nage. And what I have here is I have some onions, I have some celery, I have some tomatoes, I have some kaffir leaves, some butter, some Beluga Caviar, and of course I have some champagne as well. And I basically sliced everything up, and I've sweated it off in just a little bit of oil. And we're going to get it going here just a little bit, like so. And you want to sweat it off till it's translucent. You want to release all the natural sugars, but you don't want to color the vegetables, very important. Now we're going to take our champagne. We're going to add it right into our vegetables. Now here I have these are manila clams, and these are top necks. And then here we have some green mussels from New Zealand. Now we're going to take all of these, and we're just going to basically add it right into our our vegetables and champagne here. And we want to let that simmer. And what we're going to do here is we're making a broth. Have a cover, John? And we want to just cover that up, and we're going to let that steam up just a little bit. Because we're going to strain it out, like so. And you want to push all the juice out. This is going to make a great broth.
The broth is transferred and reduced slightly. Then butter, chervil, thyme, and kaffir lime leaf are added.
And I also have some kaffir leaf, which is a leaf from the Philippines and also grown in Hawaii. And it's a very aromatic flavor. Comes from the lime tree. We're going to stir that right into our mix. And we want it all frothy, like so. I have one of these electric hand mixers.
The cooked fish is drained.
Okay, I'm going to take that, we're going to place it right on the dish. We have our nage. The nage right around like so. Here we have our Beluga Caviar. Place the caviar right alongside it. I have some tomatoes. The tomatoes around. I have some kaffir leaf. I have julienne. And
in 1999, Michael and Wendy Jordan opened Rosemary's restaurant in Las Vegas. In a town that's awash in culinary hype, it has quietly begun making a name. His early career was with the ubiquitous Emeril Lagasse, who first brought him to Las Vegas. He's his own man now, with dishes like king salmon and relish. The chef starts a pepper vinaigrette by sweating yellow bell pepper and onion in butter.
We can go ahead at this point and add in the rosemary, the thyme, and the bay leaf. After they've gone for about 5 minutes, we're going to go right in with white wine. We're going to use champagne vinegar today. You can use really any vinegar you want. And you want to use a dry white wine. Champagne is very nice in here as well. After about 20 minutes, you get it down to where it's looking like this. You can see we don't have any color, but the vegetables are very tender. The onions are translucent. And then we're ready for the next step. Be sure you pull out the aromatics.
The vegetables are combined with a whole egg and Dijon mustard in a processor.
And once we get it down to a really fine paste, that's when we're going to start adding in the oil. And we're going to add the oil in very, very slowly. In a sense, we're almost kind of making an aioli, if you will, or a mayonnaise. But we've added in a nice amount of the vinegar, so we have kind of an emulsified vinaigrette going on. So after we get a nice smooth paste, we just add the oil in slow, but in a nice steady stream. And take your time at this point. Don't rush this. You add the oil in too fast, it might break, and it might be too thin. We want to have something with some body.
After processing, the seasoning is adjusted and the mixture is strained.
And basically, we just push it.
Using a similar method with slightly different ingredients, a thick balsamic vinaigrette is made. It will be used to dress the relish.
Okay, next we're going to make the Provençal relish. We have some capers that have been rinsed. Please be sure you rinse your capers. Some whole cloves of roasted garlic. Some Kalamata olives. You can use Niçoise olives, you can use green olives, whatever olive you like. This is fresh basil. This is a fine julienne of sweet onion, a Vidalia onion, Maui onion, whatever which one is in season, and a little bit of sun-dried tomatoes. This is a type of relish that it's really kind of up to you how you want to put it together. I'll show you how we do it, but the proportions that go into the relish, if you like more garlic, you add more garlic. A little less onion, completely up to you. So we'll just put a little the sun-dried tomato in, and it's really just as simple as just tossing all the ingredients together. A little bit of the white onion. You want to try to create a balance of the flavors. You want every bite, you want to taste a little bit of everything. The olives, capers. I love garlic, so I'm going to throw a few extra in there. Fresh basil. The squeeze bottle here, the balsamic vinaigrette. And I'm going to add just a little bit extra virgin olive oil. We want to season lightly. Remember that there's olives in there, there's capers in there, they are salty, so we don't want to get too crazy on the salt. You really want to balance with maybe a little bit of extra pepper. And just a very simple matter of just tossing it together. This is great if you make it the day before. You can let it sit and marinate for a good 24 hours, and then those flavors just come together. It's no problem serving it right away.
The salmon is coated with olive oil and seasoned. It'll be cooked in olive oil on a hot flat top.
Put some oil down. We want to sear the salmon, and we want to get a nice crust. A nice golden brown crust gives it the great flavor. Now when you sear something, you want to just let it sit. Let it just sit there. Don't be moving it all around too much. We want to just lightly loosen it so it doesn't stick too much, but we want to let it sit there and just get a nice golden color. And that really is the essence of the flavor.
Meanwhile, some greens and endive leaves are wilted in butter and shallot in a double boiler setup.
Let's check our salmon. There we go. Some nice color on it. So we've got the greens, and you just add the greens right into the bowl. Some gentle heat. And we're just going to start tossing them. Want to take our yellow bell pepper sauce on the bottom, forming a pool. Take our endives. Three on the endives. Keeping our greens nice and tight in the center. Place our salmon. Beautiful. Put a nice pile of our come back, we can do a little pepper. Do a little basil. There's our salmon, Provençal relish, roasted yellow pepper vinaigrette.
Artesia in Abita Springs, Louisiana, is an upscale operation in a sort of countrified setting. Executive chef John Besh says he likes it that way. In fact, his contemporary French food often uses indigenous ingredients from the restaurant's own farm close by. His dessert is panna cotta with fresh fruit. The chef begins the panna cotta with heavy cream, sugar, and split vanilla beans.
And we'll stir to ensure that the sugar does not scorch on the bottom of the pan. As this is heating up, we'll start making our Lavender Langues-de-Chat. Egg whites, all-purpose flour, powdered sugar, softened butter, these as well. We'll need to scrape out the pulp of one vanilla bean. Now we'll pulse this and just until the mixture has combined. Careful not to overwork it. We'll then add some lavender blossoms, dried or fresh. They'll both work equally well.
After the lavender is incorporated, cookies are formed on a baking sheet. This is basically a tuile cookie dough.
These cat tongues. Langues-de-Chat.
Bake at 375 for about 5 minutes.
They'll add an interesting, another element of texture to our dessert. As our cream is hot, strain this to a pitcher.
This will be added to hydrated gelatin leaves. They are drained first.
And add the warm cream. Into the gelatin and stir until just dissolved. And we'll fill molds. You can use any shape that you desire. Panna cotta is Italian for cooked cream, which is really nothing more than an eggless custard, thickened with a small amount of gelatin.
Refrigerate for 20 minutes to an hour or until set.
Dip it in just a little warm water. As you can see by the texture, it's just barely held together.
Fresh fruit will garnish. It will be flavored with a jasmine syrup.
Our jasmine tea syrup. can let this cool or warm. It won't make that much of a difference. I enjoy using the warm jasmine tea syrup just as well. You really tend to perfume it to a much fuller degree. I'm going to chiffonade of fresh mint. We'll just toss this. We'll pour some of the fruit and the berries over the panna cotta. Fresh mint sprig to finish. There's our Vanilla Bean Panna Cotta with the Lavender Langues-de-Chat and fresh fruit tossed with jasmine tea.